Alrighty, Lumberjacks, welcome back. So instead of making a whole brand new control setup video for the new farm sticks, I made something that's a little bit easier, or should be easier. So what I've done is I've actually made basically a reference chart to the controls, and I've been working on this for a little while here. So I'm just going to drag this over here real quick. So this is what I've been working on all day here painstakingly to build a chart basically to reference your controls in game. So basically I'm just going to explain how this works and where to find it. So first of all, to find this chart, which I'm going to have set up here, go to www.fdrlogging.com/joysticks. Once you go here, if you scroll down, you're going to see the original how to set up dual joysticks video. Now, it's not here yet, but I'm going to post it just below this video. So you'll be able to click on it and see it and enlarge it, download it, all that fun stuff, and have a copy of that reference guide. So I still personally recommend that you guys watch the how to set up dual joysticks video. So this video still works with the farm sticks in terms of ISO cat control style movements, as you'll see on the reference chart. So this is still a great video to watch, and it works with these controls. Now, with the addition of all of these new buttons that Thrustmaster has added on here, I've had to change things around to make it work a little bit more efficiently for myself. So you guys do not have to copy this exactly how I have it. This is just how I have it set up that works really good for me so far that I've found. And I'll explain to you kind of why I have it set up the way I have it set up. So in real life, the movement controls, so this is your left joystick and this is your right joystick. So in real life, if you use ISO or cat controls, which most common operators do, these movement patterns on the left and right joystick are identical to a real life machine. So cab swing, your stick, your boom, all that fun stuff, and your tilt. So these are identical to a real life machine. Now, the buttons, on the other hand, are generally different from machine to machine. Lots of different companies have different setups. Lots of different companies have different buttons. Depends where you work. Some people have changed the buttons. It's really hard to pinpoint an exact routine style. The only buttons I know for certain that are usually always the same or really close to same are the grapple rotates. So usually the top one makes it go to the right and the bottom one makes it go to the left. And on your other joystick, the grapple close. Usually the top one opens, the bottom one closes. These are the only ones that I kind of universally, in my personal experience going from real life equipment to different equipment, have been very similar across the board. Everything else is kind of up to how you want to set it up, but this is the smoothest method that I've found to get a really good feel for all of the different equipment on one joystick. So, for instance, there's one that I've actually double configured. So if you go over to this side, this was not a mistake. I did this on purpose. So the processor roller arm open, the processor roller arm open. Now I actually bound it to both these two middle buttons. And the reason for that is because I like to do a certain type of grab with my processor. So I'll show you guys this processor here. So if you hammer down both of those keys at the same time on the top, it'll actually open your arms. So if you hit these two buttons at the same time, which you can do with one thumb if you push both of them down at the same time, it'll actually open your roller arms and it'll open your grapple at the same time. So let's close those real quick here. So close that, close that. So if you hit both at the same time, it's just a quick way to drop your log if you want to get rid of it. Now, the reason I have it double bound, so on the bottom here, the claw closes, but I also have it so the roller arm's double bound to open. And the reason I do that is to give me a little bit more control of grabbing logs. So for instance, if you're pulling from a pile, sometimes what happens is these outside arms here, these guys here, can get in the way. So if I have everything wide open and I try to grab into a pile, sometimes those roller arms are kind of in the way. So you almost want them closed so that your claws have more room to grab from. But if those claws are closed, when you go to pick something up off the ground, you want to open those claws kind of at the same time. Otherwise, you pin the tree up against the roller arms, right? So if you have the controls double set, like I have here, If you push both of these buttons at the exact same time, you're closing your grapple to suck the log up into it, and at the same time, you're actually opening your roller arm to allow the log in. So I'll give you an example here. So for instance, if I came along here, I'll just open everything up here. Let's drop that. So if my roller arms were closed and I wanted to grab this tree, if I hit both buttons at the exact same time, it'll actually grab the tree, and then all I have to do is close the other roller arm. And then if you push both top buttons at the same time, it drops everything. And same difference, like I said, maybe these claws are in the way and I don't like that. So when I go in for a grab, I push both those buttons at the exact same time on the bottom. I'm sorry, it lined up here. And it'll actually open those bottom claws as you're closing the back claw. I know that sounds probably really confusing to newer people if you're new to this stuff. But if you're an advanced processor or like to get into the more advanced stuff, it makes a lot more sense. So anyway, besides the point, that's why you'll see double entries. Now, there's some things on here that aren't bound to anything because I just haven't found a spot for them. This control doesn't have anything. This control, like you'll see stuff that doesn't have a red dot on it, and there's just no control set for that because I haven't found a feature for it. But you guys can set these to whatever you want, add whatever you want, take off whatever you want, change anything. To set these up in-game, just to make it really easy for people, each one of these represent a bound option in the game for configuring your control. So, for instance, this is your movement. So if I push my joystick forward, we would want that to be the stick arm out. If I pull my joystick backwards, I'd want that to be the stick arm in. If I move my joystick to the left, that would be swing cab to the left. If I want to move my joystick to the right, that would be swing the cab to the right. So if you're setting the controls in-game, if you scroll down to this little guy down here, similar to the other video, so for instance, if I'm looking at my chart and I'm like, okay, so when I push my joystick forward, I want it to be number 5 stick arm out. So scroll all the way to the bottom where the FDR controls are, find number 5 that says stick arm out, click on this, and then you push your left joystick forward. And that'll set the control for it, right? So left joystick forward sets the control for it. So it makes it really easy for you guys for a reference chart because now all you got to do is look for the tool function or the accelerate, the brake, the whatever, find that option, and then you can just set it to the corresponding button on the panel. I've also put what the tool function does. So tool function 1 turns on the head of the processor. It turns on the head of the buncher so that the saw is spinning. The trigger button on the back of the joystick is tool function 2, and tool function 2 is actually your processor cut. So that just kind of gives you options to know what those actually are. So if I wanted to go, I want to turn the head on, I want this to be my top button, tool function 1. So I go back into the controls, and you basically just scroll through and look on this left-hand side and see until you see tool function 1. Now, there's lots of stuff in here, but they're usually pretty easy to find. So tool function 1, I would just click here, and then I would click that top button as shown here. Just push that in. Again, this is how I have it set up. You can set it up however you want, but I just wanted reference to you guys so you knew how this chart worked and how to set up your controls. Another super good bonus with the farm sticks is that these little joysticks on the top are kind of like Xbox controllers or PlayStation controllers, the little joysticks that you have. So I've actually set it up so I accelerate and brake or steer right and steer left on my other joystick. Now, I still use my pedals to drive the excavators around, like for the tracks, but I really, really like having this feature, especially for the forwarders, because the forwarders you kind of want to be a little bit more sensitive with, and this gives you just a nice little ability to drive forward and brake and then steer right, steer left. It's super, super nice. So anyway, this chart, again, will be posted on www.fdrlogging.com/joysticks. It'll be right at the bottom here. You guys can download it, print it off, whatever you want to do. Again, I also recommend you watch the video if you guys need reference to what each part of the machine is moving and all that fun stuff. But yeah, the farm sticks don't come out to the public until November 14th is the launch date. So you guys can pre-order them off the website or do whatever you want, but you won't be able to actually purchase them until the 14th, and then they start shipping out. So I'll have all this stuff here set up for you guys, so it'll be really easy when you get them to your house. You can just open this up, set up the controls how you want, use this for reference, and hopefully it'll make it really, really easy for you. All right, guys. Well, I can't wait for you guys to all try these out when you get them, and we'll catch you in the next one. See ya.